I saw Serenity 2019, 24 hours ago, and it has done nothing but occupy my brain and consume my headspace for that entire time. And I need to talk about it. Whenever I see that a movie has a very low Rotten Tomatoes score, or IMDb, or Metacritic, what have you, whenever I see that, my interest usually goes up to see a movie like that. And I saw that very thing with Serenity 2019. I saw the low scores, and I was like, I wonder what's wrong with that movie. And I saw the cast, and I was like, well, I like Jason Clarke. I like Anne Hathaway. Matthew McConaughey I don't care for, but, I mean, he's widely considered to be, at the worst, a decent actor. Why is this movie getting such low review scores? And then I saw what pushed it over the edge and guaranteed that I was going to go see that movie. Every single review that I saw said the same thing. The movie is terrible, but we can't tell you why. And I was like, well, I gotta know why. And they said it all involves a plot twist. It all involves the story, and they can't talk about it without getting really spoiler heavy. And yeah, that's kind of what we gotta do. So I recommend you go out and see Serenity right now. Go and see it, and then come back. I'll be waiting. The following ramble is brought to you by vodka. It's got 0 carbohydrates, 40% alcohol volume, and a taste you can trust. Vodka. It's keto-friendly. Welcome back. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to sit through Serenity 2019, but oh my god! What was that? What was Serenity 2019? I've never seen anything quite like it before. A movie that's just so dedicated to its plot twist. Like, it sets itself up. It's not, it doesn't come out of nowhere, but the twist itself is so bonkers that I couldn't help, like, the entire movie, I was sitting there in the theater like, okay, what's the twist gonna be? And they keep introducing these, like, little red flags that make you that'll get your mind geared towards what this twist is gonna be, so that way when it does hit you, you're not like, huh? And they do that really well, but then the twist hits and you're like, huh? Matthew McConaughey plays a man named Baker Dale. And Baker Dale is a fisherman. And he goes on charter fishing tours in some tropical fake island called Plymouth Island. And he's like a psychopath. And he pulls his little fishing Bowie knife out on people all the time. They're like, I want to catch this fish. And he's like, the fuck you are. He reminds me of my dad. So anyway, Baker Dale is trying to catch a fish. One fish. And it is a big tuna called Justice. And so it's like Moby Dick in that way, where it's about a weird man who is obsessed with one fish, and he will do anything in his power to catch it. And that's where the movie kind of starts, and it makes you think, okay, we're in for a guy has like a big thing he wants to achieve, and it's man versus nature. Cool, I'm with it. But then later, his ex-wife appears. His ex-wife is Anne Hathaway, and she's just like, how you doing, John? And it's like, oh my god, you mean this obviously fake Baker Dill-ass name is not a real name? I am in shock mode right now. His name is actually John Mason, and he's hiding from his seedy past, his sordid past in Miami, because no one has sordid pasts in Miami. And so apparently Anne Hathaway's like, John, listen, I know we go way back, and I know we're not together anymore, and you probably aren't we're not in each other's fan clubs, but let me shoot a proposal your way. So I am in the possession of, shall we say, $10 million of dirty money. Don't ask how I got it. It's okay. I have it. Pinky swear, I've got 10 mil hard fat stacks. How's about you take my current husband, who is a psychopath, abusive murder man, kind of like you, only he abuses me, instead of tourists who pay him money to go and fish. He's also kind of a prick to your son. So, I will give you that 10 mil. 10 mil, man. I'll give it to you if you take my husband out on your dingy-ass boat, take him to the middle of the ocean, fill him with all the liquor in Texas, and dump him overboard and feed him to the sharks. Baby, I don't feel like doing that. I ain't gonna do that. That ain't something I'm gonna do. Let me give you some weighty dialogue. I'm gonna whisper it to you, but you ain't gonna understand it because I'm speaking at such a low volume. And that's why I gotta catch that fish. And that's the whole movie. That's like, they meander on that for so long. And they finally introduce the abusive asshole boyfriend, husband, excuse me. He's played by Jason Clarke. And he is like, he's a bit extra, you know, a little bit much, like 200%, I would say, in the psycho category. Like, he's just like constantly talking about whipping his dick out, and he's inspecting his wife for like bruise marks that he may or may not have caused. So that's fun. So you're kind of starting to piece things together a little bit, and you're like, okay, so he wants the big fish, and he needs to take Murder Man, he needs to take abusive prick out into the ocean and kill him, so obviously those two things are going to converge, and somehow him catching the fish will end up in Jason Clarke being murdered. And then we all go home happy, a nice little tight story. That can work. We got everything we need. We don't need to add anything else. There's no need for some sort of completely out of left field 11th hour twist, right? Serenity says no. Serenity says that idea can sleep with the fishes. So it is revealed in conversations with Murder Man, what is his fucking name? Zariakis, Mr. Zariakis. I think that's German for bad guy. You gotta keep in mind, this movie's only an hour and 45 minutes long, and the part where please kill my husband is introduced, to the part where he takes him out to go kill him. The middle of that is mostly the different people on Plymouth Island saying to Baker Dill, hey man, you can't kill this guy. And he's like, at first he's like, I'm not gonna kill the guy. And Anne Hathaway's like, but you gotta kill the guy. And he's like, I'm not gonna kill the guy. The only thing I give a shit about is fish. And she's like, you could put your fish obsessions aside. And he's like, no. Murder Man is like, hey, you know, I'm such a prick. My wife probably doesn't like me, but you know who really doesn't like me? Is her fucking ass kid. I hate my wife's child. He's a prick, and he starts running down this, like, laundry list of, like, petty offenses that this kid has done. He keeps to himself. He doesn't want to throw a football with me. I think he's insane. I think he's creepy. He only plays on his computer. And so, of course, Matthew McConaughey's hearing this, and at this point in the movie, he's like, I'm not gonna kill this guy. But then he calls his son the R word, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill this guy, okay. So then, what happens is, instead of it being a back and forth argument between Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway about, I'm not gonna kill this guy, but you should kill that guy, now it becomes Matthew McConaughey's like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and the entire island is like, you shouldn't kill this guy. And also, there's this mousy guy, this weird, like, stereotype nerd guy is running around in a business suit, and he's holding a briefcase, and he keeps trying to catch up with Baker to talk to him, but he keeps missing him just by like that much. He just keeps missing him. And they're like, okay, so what is this? And there's a part where he says, he's like, I've missed him, my calculations were off by 2.7 seconds. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, so they're gonna do something with time. This has gotta be something with time. Is this guy like a Time Lord or something? Has he come back? Like, my mind was like, okay, what are the most bonkers twists I can think of? Because that's all I know about this movie, is there's a murder conspiracy, a conspiracy to commit murder, excuse me, those are different, and there is a strange twist that completely caves this movie in like a poorly done souffle. So I was like, okay, this mousy looking guy is going to be his son from the future who's coming back in time to warn his father that if you kill this man, if you kill psycho murder Jason Clarkman, everything gets worse, like butterfly effect sort of things, where like, if you kill this asshole, I don't know, what's the worst thing you can think of? This is the internet, come up with something. Nobody pays me enough to come up with all of the analogies here. But that, whatever you thought of just now, whatever the worst thing you thought of, that's what's gonna happen if Jason Clarke gets murdered by a fish named Justice. And I was not prepared. The strange man with the briefcase in the suit, he calls himself the Rules. Now, for those of you who follow all of my exploits on various social medias, you will see that I have changed my Twitter handle from Chris, buy my book, which, by the way, buy my book, I have changed it to Chris, I am the Rules. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean, I am the Rules? What is he referring to? Well, you see, there's a reason why they set up the fact that the kid is spending his entire day with his nose buried in his computer screen. It's because he's been designing a video game. What is little Patrick Mason designing? He is designing an open-world fishing game. I wouldn't actually mind an open-world fishing game if it was designed properly, but based on... The whole point, the kid's designing a video game and Matthew McConaughey lives in a video game world. There, I said it! He designed quite possibly one of the worst ones I've ever seen represented in media. And that, I remind you, is a media that has birthed Sword Art Online. I think Serenity might be the worst fake video game. Like, this twist doesn't work. Because Matthew McConaughey is like, he goes, I'm in a video game. And half of the other characters are like, what is wrong with you? You know what you need to see is you need to see a doctor because you're insane. And you might be thinking, I was like, because he has like, you start to think back, you're like, okay, there are some like sort of weird elements that might lead to that. But if somebody knew more about video games, they'd have designed a video game that was more than just catch the one fish. The movie tries to say, oh, there's mini games too, like find the missing cat, have sex with Diane Lane. It's if you took the mini games from Legend of Zelda and God of War and you set it in a tropical island and the player character was a whiskey swilling, cigarette chain smoking, mumbly Matthew McConaughey. As awful as the fake video game is, as out of left field as it is, as so poorly as it is implemented, it was so nonsensical and so surprising and so endearing to me, I couldn't help but love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that we all had to suffer through Serenity together, but I think overall we've become stronger thanks to Serenity, and I can't call it a bad movie because of that. And I'd go so far as to say, it's probably now the best movie called Serenity. Ha 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 ha!